first and foremost, congratulations on this film. Wow. I cannot stop thinking about it since I watched it, and my
Same.
ideas and thoughts keep evolving and changing, which is honestly the best feeling. So,
Ours
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, ours too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's been an amazing day because like we are discovering things about it ourselves, which is kind of an amazing thing.
Yeah.
We've had a bit of distance from it. And yeah, I think what happened is that we shot this in such a blur. It was like, it was so intense. And, we just seized on this opportunity of having this opera on stage and building this drama around it. And, but now, I mean, we always knew that the character was super complex and that there were all these different sort of things she was negotiating, but it's just fascinating now understanding like how singular and unusual Jeanine is as a character.
oh my gosh, beautifully said. And it's so true. I mean, well, let's start there. I mean, Amanda, it's very clear from the beginning that Jeanine is kind of offered little to no support, which is extremely frustrating. I think especially as for all people watching, but especially as a woman in the arts, I could kind of deeply relate to this sort of frustration. And um, she's often undermined, her vision is often undermined. And through your poignant performance, you can kind of feel her discomfort through it. Even when she's impassioned, you can still see a restraint in your eyes, which is like incredible. Just talk to me about her emotionality and when to kind of fight for it and when to rein it in because it is so complex. What a beautiful performance, truly.
Thanks. People
Great.
keep
That's so
pushing
well put.
against her.
That's
Thank
so
you.
well put.
Thank you for seeing that. It's also like we haven't really touched on that as much, but like it's some sometimes you just don't need approval in order to go try to get what you want. And I think she's playing the part of the good student at times, and other times she's like, no, you know what, I'm here to do my job. Like, she's taking the reins in some ways, but she realizes that she's not going to get the support, and she's not going to, and people are absolutely trying to stifle her, and it is frustrating, because I know that feeling. We can all relate to that feeling. But I like what I loved reading her power through it when I read the script. It's just like, and playing that at the end of the day, I'm on a journey too, and I'm not gonna let this. I'm not gonna let these people stifle my work, and I'm gonna figure out what I need, despite everybody. And at the end of the day, she realizes what she needed is something that she didn't really expect. And you know, it's fine to not know how you're going to get what you want, but to know that you're desperately like searching for it, and you're not going to stop. And I don't know, that's it's
Yeah,
a
it's
good
it's,
theme,
it's
but
it's also this idea that like you're given this rare opportunity and this chance, but you're always made to feel that it is this rare opportunity and this chance, right? And
yeah.
that is actually really limiting, right? So I think this is a crazy moment where at the beginning, the first image we see of her is on this bridge, and she talks about that as she's, introducing herself to the community, and maybe it's in evoking that bridge that she comes up with this idea of making small changes. But the moment she says small changes, you can see that there's a reaction from the administration, and it just has a ripple effect. Like these small changes, and when they deny her director's notes, and then they say we want something more personal, but it's going to be a lot more marginal because it's just going to be this iPhone journal that we don't get to edit.
Hmm.
I think that kind of like liberates her to kind of go into this deep investigation of her own worth,
Yeah, she's
right?
also being treated like a child, and and she's, obviously thinking back in her childhood, and her childhood informed so much of the original Salome, that she was the protege director, and it's just like it's just there's just all these things mixing together, and the way she's being treated is triggering for her, and so it's just she's facing these triggers, head on, in a way that I don't know if I would, and it's amazing, like, the directions it takes her, despite everybody trying to work actively against her, trying to keep her voice from being heard. It's just everybody projects what they think on her, and we can all relate.
Yeah, truly. I mean, there's a lot too about sort of the hypocrisy of creating art within systems and this idea of like make
Yes.
it personal, but not too personal or make it this. And it's just, it's so powerful. I mean, Adam, your work always kind of when I think of your work, I think of the integrity to sort of create conversations, which is, I think, the most powerful thing about filmmaking and making art. Um, as you were collaborating again on this project, and it is such a commentary on the process of making art, what were the questions you both wanted to ask and explore about creative ownership, autonomy, control? Because I mean, that's what I kept kind of noodling on and was reflecting on my
You know
own.
what? I have to say, first of all, your questions are extraordinary. I mean, you've opened up so many doors, and this is amazing. We're talking about these things. I think that there is an institutional aspect to culture, and that there are all these hierarchies and conditions, and what she comes to understand, Jeanine, is that these impulses have been awakened in her and she remembers them, but where she then focuses them and takes that creative energy is in an unexpected place, going back to her childhood home. And it's quite possible that, this thing that she directs without giving it away with her mother and this man who's, this woman who's sleeping with her husband. I mean, that actually ends up being the most creative gesture for her own empowerment, right? That she's able to do, and it is about defacing a work of art, really, ultimately. So like art is this. It's tempting to think that in itself it resolves certain issues, but ultimately, as long as it's providing a space where we can actually have these conversations within ourselves, and inspire actions within ourselves and maybe through others, but I think it's first has to come from some feeling that we gain from being in that space. So she's in what is called a privileged space, but we have to ask, why is it privileged, and what does that privilege mean, and what does it give her access to?
Oh my gosh, beautifully said.
Well, you great question. Great
Oh,
question. Thank
that means the world to me, especially
you.
coming from you, truly. Oh gosh, they're telling me to wrap.
I'm
I
sorry.
could talk about this. I could talk about it for hours.
Thank you. Well, anytime.